Hi everyone, this is the 7th co-creative thought transformation video. Obviously, if you have not seen the introduction or the first 6 videos, you need to go back. You can find links to the other free Heart Journey videos, including the introduction, Heart Journey, a how-to manual for co-creative manifestation, on my maryjuno.com website. We have now reached the midpoint in our journey through the heart. Yes, Heart Journey is really a spiritual passage through the heart, and there are 12 co-creative thought transformations to your passage. We have completed the first 6 of those steps so far. The theme of the lower half of the heart is one of expansion. You enter at the very bottom of the heart. Your vision is based on desire. There is something you want or need, and your request is a product of the will to manifest. Your understanding of the co-creative process may be limited at this time. Notice the narrow entry point. The first co-creative thought transformation was to open you up to the assistance of a co-creative partner and counteract the do-it-yourself mode of operation. You are introduced to the fact that you are not alone, and this is a spiritual endeavor. You have a co-creative partner, and through the assistance of this higher power, you are able to manifest through attraction and receptivity. You can discover the hidden power associated with attraction within your heart. This power flourishes when you love self and others well. Your first co-creative thought transformation is learning to attract and opening to receive. The second co-creative thought transformation pointed out the folly of comparisons with what others have and you lack. If love for others is to open your heart, you cannot be jealous of others. Instead, be happy for their good fortune. This opens your heart more fully to attracting and receiving. Your abundance is not threatened by what others have. Your abundance is directly related to your heart's capacity, in the same way that the air in your lungs is related to your lungs' capacity. When you open your heart to love, you open your heart to receiving. Notice the shape of the lower half of the heart as we move upward. It is no mistake that it represents an expansion process. Your interactions are becoming multidimensional, and your heart is becoming more loving. There is more to the process of manifestation than just you, and there is more to love than giving. Opening your heart is a two-way street that enables you to receive. The third co-creative thought transformation seeks to open your heart further by monitoring your thoughts and cleaning up your mental attitude. In order to attract and receive, you must counteract negativity and raise your vibration. You cannot attract from the gutter, and your co-creative partner cannot stoop to connect with you. If you want to establish a clear channel, you need to turn down the noise and the drama. Silence and reflection support communication and lead to direct guidance in the process of manifestation through attraction and receptivity. Just as you cannot compare your abundance to that of others, you cannot compare your progress or lack of progress on the spiritual path to the progress of others. Everyone's path is different. No one size fits all. It is important to honor your journey and the journey of others, as each is individualized. Programming is set by your co-creative partner in keeping with your highest good. You have some control over the progress. You enhance your understanding, insight, and advancement through sustained interaction and cooperation with your co-creative partner. The goal is to become whole. The expansion process continues as we move upward in the heart, eventually reaching maximum expansion. By the 5th month of interacting with your co-creative partner, you probably have experience with multidimensional perception and alternate realities. There is a vibrational continuum connecting the spiritual dimension to the physical world. This vibrational continuum is the means by which you attract and manifest. Creative energy in the spiritual dimension condenses into form according to your desire and focused, sustained thought. The greater your multidimensional perception of this subtle connection, the greater your ability to understand the process. The last co-creative thought transformation before we cross into the upper half of the heart is open-mindedness. In order to progress spiritually, you have to leave your preconceived notions and mental constructs behind. Heart journey involves both an expansion in consciousness and open-heartedness. The mind and the heart go hand in hand, as we have already seen. This will continue to be the case. Look at the shape of the top half of the heart and note the two lobes are both mirror images of each other, yet conjoined. They appear dual, but represent non-dual experiences. Co-creative thought transformations and heart journey lead to an awareness of non-duality within synchronicity and coincidence. Your relationships and interactions with others mirror your own pattern of spiritual growth as you experience what you need to learn. Clues and guidance in your environment reflect communication coming from your co-creative partner regarding the necessary steps towards manifestation. Within your interaction with your co-creative partner, you begin to experience your own co-creative power and potential. You discover that it is to your advantage to observe experiences from both sides of any situation. Significant spiritual teachings can be occurring within mundane events, and it is important to stay open, as I will demonstrate by relating a personal experience later in this presentation. The seventh co-creative thought pattern needing transformation is judgment. When you judge someone rather than see him or her with compassion, your heart begins to close and your ability to manifest automatically decreases. Keeping your heart open is a major component of the process of manifestation through attraction and receptivity. It is the open heart that receives and channels abundance to others. The wise person wishing to manifest and traveling a mystical path of spiritual development delays and even avoids judgment. Like mental constructs, judgment is a close-ended process meant to terminate investigation so the mind can assume understanding and move on. You might never realize that there is a valuable lesson appearing before your eyes. Compassion leaves you open to experience and leads to insight and spiritual development. Characterizing people, events, or circumstances as bad leads to an established pattern of interaction and avoidance. Although no one needs to remain in a dangerous situation, characterization in negative terms is commonly swift, arbitrary, overused, and self-limiting. Judgment is the antithesis of mysticism, which is an open-ended inquiry into the unknown, where black and white fade to gray and all patterns of response are useless and counterproductive. Judgments are a reaction to rather than an awareness of. When you make a judgment, you are refusing to look deeper. This has implications not just on a mystical level, but also on a mundane level and in regard to human relations. When you judge another, you distance yourself from a meaningful interaction and connection by drawing premature conclusions. The individual can be characterized as being this or that, rather than experienced as unique. When you judge, you label people, places, things, events, and circumstances in accordance with your degree of comfort or discomfort. The label prevents any meeting of the hearts and minds. You do not have to work to know or understand this person, and you do not have to be concerned with unknown personality elements. Based on your quick assessment, you determine your involvement or distance. The good or bad, black or white, positive or negative label can lull you into thinking you know this person or situation. You think you understand. You probably don't. But once characterization is established, rightly or wrongly, responses can become stereotypical and automatic. Judgments are frequently based on preconceived notions colored by emotional content and past experience. They are not just a product of your moral or ethical upbringing. They are also influenced by prejudice, social pressures, the need for rational understanding, personal history, individual preference, and a myriad of other factors. Judgment is a simplified ending to a complex conscious and unconscious process. When you judge a person for his or her actions, whether terrible, inadequate, or misguided, you eliminate the possibility for compassion, when the truth is we all commit offenses. If you are evolving spiritually, you can probably look back on some past situation and realize you could have handled it better, even if you made the best of a bad situation and learned from it. We all grow and learn. I am forever grateful to those who tolerated my past transgressions and those who will tolerate my future ones and still regard me with love. You probably have established personal limits, lines you have drawn in the sand and will not cross. Those lines are there to protect you. You will only go so far. You are not going to be hurt, used, or duped again. But what is it that exists beyond that limit? What lies on the other side of the line you have drawn? I'm not talking about placing yourself in compromising situations or dangerous circumstances. I believe an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You need to protect yourself from perpetrators, for your own sake and for the sake of the perpetrator. But I'm talking about those situations where presenting elements appear similar to past difficulties, and a pattern of condemnation and avoidance is established. It is only when the heart and the mind are left open that you cross this artificial line you have drawn to travel beyond your present level of comprehension towards compassion and healing. That line in the sand is your growing tip, and you only grow by crossing it. Additionally, the process of judging will have a negative impact on your own psyche. As you judge, so shall you be judged does not necessarily mean that you will be judged by the same standards or for the same offense as others. It means that as long as the apparatus for judgment is in place in your mind and the pattern reinforced again and again, it can turn on you at any moment. The thought pattern you have ingrained in your mind to judge others will judge you whenever it is idle and needs a target. Remember the emphasis on non-duality associated with the heart? There is no separation here. The judgmental mind judges again and again. This becomes a well-established route for understanding in your mind, though many times a false understanding spawned on a short-sighted route. When you cease to judge, you will cease to feel judged. I am aware that I have been faced with a decision or dilemma of my own in regard to almost every past judgment I have ever made. Not wanting to face too many more difficult situations, I prefer not to judge. I suggest you learn to see the total picture by allowing extra time for understanding, corrections, apologies, and a paradigm shift. Your co-creative partner has an individualized plan for your spiritual development, which includes awareness of counterproductive traits in yourself and others. Learning to see dysfunction with compassion is part of the lesson. At this point in your growth process, every person, event, or situation can be part of the customized lesson plan. People can be a symbolic reflection of something within you that needs to evolve and change. While you are on a heart journey, there can be specific reasons for interactions with others. Stay open to the teachings by not judging. We think of mystical experiences as being awe-inspiring magical events. This is not always the case. Mystical experiences associated with your co-creative partner's spiritual lesson plan for you tend to be unusual and can make you uncomfortable. They don't always come through bright minds, socially acceptable personalities, and pleasant surroundings. If your co-creative partner cannot reach you through someone's goodness, your co-creative partner will reach you through someone's craziness. You can easily dismiss the experience and miss the lesson when your mind is steeped in the practice of making judgments that derail the process of insight and growth. You can reach across the gulf that separates one person from another and grow beyond your present understanding. The longer you delay judgment, the longer you will go on learning. As long as your mind and heart are open, insights and learning will continue. The following is my story of judgment, moving to compassion. When I lived in Maryland, my house was out in a rural area. When I would go to Baltimore City, I always took the same route. There was a stoplight just before getting on the highway going home. Many times a man or woman would be on the corner begging for money. If the light was green, the traffic was such that it was difficult to stop. However, the red light was a long one, and I always gave something to whoever was there. One day, I was coming up to the corner and the light turned red. There was a man with a homeless sign. The thought voice said, "Give him a 20." I had never given out this much money before and was a little embarrassed by the offering, so I folded the bill up and tried to conceal the denomination as I handed it to him. He immediately looked at it and asked, "Why did you give me so much money?" I answered truthfully, "The voice told me to." I expected him to laugh and question me further about the voice, but to my surprise he said, "I know you." Now, I rarely went into the city, maybe once or twice a year, and I was certain I did not know any homeless, middle-aged black men. My judgmental mind immediately decided that this was a gimmick for more money. In that instant, the situation became understandable to me, and I was no longer uncomfortable with how this man might know who I was. My end to this mystery was that he was bluffing and didn't know me at all. Then he said, "Your name is Mary." I was flabbergasted beyond belief and stammered, "How do you know me?" I did not have a name tag on, and there was nothing in or on my car that would in any way indicate what my name was. Turns out he knew me from 30 years ago, when I was a waitress earning extra money for college at a local restaurant, and he was a busboy. He remembered me, though my hair had turned gray, and I looked very different. The inequity of our lives was heartbreaking. As the light changed and I drove away, I started to cry. I was an American princess in the land of opportunity, and he probably never had a chance. Though I remembered the job and the situation, despite all my education and intelligence, I had forgotten this person completely, his name and his face, while he had remembered me. He never forgot who I was, even after 30 years, and he never judged me according to my clothes or condition. He met me without pretense. But though I acted generously, I know in my heart that I judged him as I drove up to that corner. Was he really homeless? Would he go on a binge with the money I gave him? Why didn't he get a job? I acted like part of the solution, but my judgment made me part of the problem. So here is your focus for the coming month. Monitor your mind and your heart. Do you judge others? Do you judge yourself? Do you judge circumstances? Try delaying judgments and seeing events with compassion. I will speak more about non-duality in coming videos, but for now, look for coincidence and synchronicity in events and experiences. Your relationships are reflecting your individualized spiritual lessons, while guidance regarding manifestation is reflected in your environment. You are a true co-creative partner. Experience your own power and potential. By now, you probably know the routine. Work with this co-creative thought transformation for 1 month, keeping it foremost in your mind. At the end of the month, move on to the 8th co-creative thought needing transformation. You are not expected to master any of the co-creative thought transformations in 1 month's time. These transformations are lifelong callings. There are layers and layers of spiritual growth and insight innate to each new co-creative thought pattern. In the beginning, awareness in and of itself is considered progress, a step in the right direction. Next month's 8th thought pattern needing transformation is possessiveness and control, which will also be in video format. Look for this 8th co-creative thought transformation on my YouTube channel or on maryjuno.com website. To receive notices of each new video, subscribe to my YouTube channel or newsletter. For more information about Heart Journey and co-creative manifestation, go to my maryjuno.com website. There you will find a study guide, sample chapter, and other videos. Heart Journey, the book, is available in print and digital format, and obviously the greatest amount of information and spiritual depth is only found in the book. My videos can only introduce you to the topic. The book can be purchased online or through a bookstore. The digital format will work with your iPad, tablet, computer, or phone, as free apps are available. Well, that concludes another video and another month. I wish you all the best with this 7th co-creative thought transformation, and I look forward to sharing with you next month with a new video. I hope you have an abundant and insightful month.